Hey everybody, welcome to the Soul Food Priest podcast of Father Ben, and it's wonderful as always to have you. And I'm here with Silvia Vega and Khira. Roddy, howdy guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Good. So, have you guys ever had swans before? Did I make this for you yet?
I
Just
think
knowing you, I've had swans.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can't remember. I couldn't remember if I made them.
They're so pretty.
So no, we did. Didn't we make like turkeys, like pot of shoe turkeys or something? And,
I know
like,
I've
big
seen the
ones?
swans.
Okay.
I haven't seen a turkey.
haven't
Would
seen
you
a
make
turkey.
Do you make turkeys out of
You
this?
basically make the whole thing in a big way. So it's basically like
and then put a little
cream
gobble
puff,
thing,
yeah,
little
like a cream
That's
puff
cute.
Just
turkey kind of thing. And then I mean, it's so I don't know if you guys eat tofu, but you ever heard of a tofurkey? Like
I've heard of a tofurkey.
That sounds fun.
A tofu.
I would try tofu if it was in the shape
Turkey.
of a turkey.
Yeah.
By the way, you need to make us tofu one time. I've never had tofu.
Oh, I'd love to
And
make
you
you tofu.
and you say like you have to make it right,
yeah.
but I wouldn't know the difference between bad tofu and good tofu. So
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
tofu
bad
at all.
tofu, and everybody's had a near-death tofu experience.
okay, yeah, I
So
don't
they've
like that.
decided that they hate it
Yeah.
because they don't know. Whoever has made it sucks at making it. So that's what happens if
Yeah.
they
So
decided.
we'll just start from the best.
Yeah,
We'll just start at the top.
you would like my tofu.
Okay.
In all humility.
Okay.
I will be
Yes. Okay. So
These
I
are
thought
great.
I thought I would make these for you, and just so you know, they are Khira. They will get all of your black dress.
I was just thinking.
So
It's
There's,
okay. Go for it.
You know, when I went into the kitchen and I saw this, I thought, there is no pretty way of eating this.
no. Well, what
Like,
you,
really, no pretty
So
way.
we're going to be saying that cut to Father Ben, right?
Yeah.
Or are we just going to go for it this time? I think let's just go for it. Hey,
well, and it's really it's
no judging.
They have this cream puff thing in Italy called a maritoso, and it's this big bun thing that's crammed with whipped cream, and it's kind of like a French version of maritoso.
Okay, so I'm going for the short one since I'm short.
We have to name it first. I mean, like,
Okay, so
What? I don't know.
this is
This is Lucia.
Lucia.
Sure.
I like it.
okay,
I'll
then
go
this
with Lucia.
is Juanita.
Juanita. Okay. Like, why no male names? I feel so insulted.
Because
Well-
they're pretty.
Okay.
They're pretty.
You know, men have feelings too, Khira.
You know,
I
you brought a
know, and
fork,
that is
but-
true. I mean, like the pretty peacocks are male.
Uh-huh.
Tell you the pretty swans
Yeah.
are male.
The shorter ones is your
Mine's
taller.
tall.
Yeah, that's apropos to you. Sylvia.
I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
Padre.
yeah.
All right,
okay,
so
we didn't bring napkins.
So what I do
did
when
went
I-
to look, but I didn't find it.
When I eat it, I'll just tell you what I do.
Can
when
I
eat
just
it.
take this?
That's what I do. I take out the neck,
Oh, that's
okay.
part of the neck. Okay.
take it out, and note that the
Sorry,
neck
Lucia.
and the bottom is dipped in chocolate before you put it in the whipped cream. Any idea why you would do that?
So that it wouldn't get soggy.
So it wouldn't get soggy.
Yay! I'm
Right.
learning
Really good.
things.
Right. And so, but
yeah.
it's light. It's not rich. It's
I could eat
it's
this
actually
every
healthy.
day.
So, like, the more you eat of it, the healthier you are. That's kind of how it is. It's very healthy. I mean, look, it's made. It's
Is this
dairy.
dark chocolate?
Dark chocolate.
How much butter did you put?
There's
in
no
this?
butter.
What?
There's no butter in that. A little bit.
I was about to say there's butter in this. A
Yeah,
little
the
bit,
pot
and a
au
little
choux.
bit.
Yeah.
Is like
So we've talked about pot au
pound
choux
for father.
many times. And so what you do is this is called pot au choux. So what you take water, you take butter, and you bring it to a boil. Add flour to it until it pulls away from the side of the pan. Put it in a mixer, and you add eggs one at a time. And thus you get pot au choux.
I hope to make that one time.
You
I'm
did?
going to be a lot of the listening today
Yeah.
because this will be all gone. This is very light.
It's very light. It's not
Very-
heavy.
And so, like this, it's not like icing, like it's thick. So it's like really, like you put it in your mouth and it almost kind of dissolves right away. It's
Yeah.
really fluffy and
I
I love it.
I love this creamery.
Yeah, I like. I have to be in the mood for it, and it's
Okay.
a rare time that I'm in the mood for something like this. But when I get in the mood, I'm like in the mood. It was really funny. When I go out to eat, I never order meat. I do eat meat, but I just never order it. And the other day, I was driving around, and I was like, dude, I must have like a Huey hamburger right now at this very moment. And like a savage craving for meat. And gosh, or Mundo's tacos. My heavens. Those of you that don't know, Mundo is Sylvia's husband. And his tacos are incredible.
Hence, we don't diet in our house. So when I do happen to diet, he can't cook. Because he'll use all the natural ingredients, like instead of the regular oil, hey, let's use the pork fat I had yesterday from the bacon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
it's delicious. It makes it extra delicious.
Oh,
but
yeah.
No, yeah, but it is bad. Yeah, have you, speaking of which, have you guys ever been to England? So I was in England last year, and I learned the difference, I didn't know this, between high tea and noon tea. Do you guys know the difference?
I don't.
Okay, so
No.
high tea, they called it high tea originally, apparently, because they ate it at tall tables.
Oh.
So, and that's, they usually
That's
eat
fun.
about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's more of a meal. So they actually would have a meal. They do have tea, but it's more of a substantial meal kind of thing.
Okay.
We would call supper or dinner, right? And then they have noon tea where they have something light like this, and like Earl Grey tea or something like this, right? And I didn't know this.
No.
But one of the things that is a big deal over there that I appreciate, I think we had talked about this before, but like some of the etiquette that surrounds tea, which I think is so cool. Like, for instance, put your phone away.
Yeah.
You should never have your phone on the table.
Nice.
Right.
Love that.
Always be courteous to one server. Have manners. Don't, like so many people, it drives me crazy if I'm out with somebody. They don't want whatever's on the menu. They want their own menu.
Oh.
And they want everything on the side. So there's like 65 salad dressings you can choose from, and they want their own salad dressing. Okay, there's no greater way than to find foreign debris in your food, okay, than to do that, all right? You don't want to do that. Tip your server.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think especially one of the things that's overlooked is it's time with somebody else. It's dialogue. So it's, in other words, the conversation shouldn't be about me. You can share things about yourself, but it really, tell me about how are you doing? How was your day? And I love that because it's a time that they kind of come together. And I thought, man, like Americans can totally learn something from this, right?
I think we can all take a lesson in listening.
Yeah.
I know I used, like, I think Mundo, my husband, was like, you give great advice. You're great, when a friend comes to you. But he's like, I was paying attention to you, and you listen, but you talk more than you listen. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that terrible? He's like, well, it's not bad, but I think that you need to work on also giving time for the other person to just talk. And I remember the day he said that, I'm like, okay, I got to work on that. I do talk a lot. Hence, we're in a podcast for a reason. I think we could all take a lesson, or just like stepping back and just being there and listening. Because part of a conversation is not just you conversing, it's also
right.
listening to the
and
other
that includes
side.
prayer.
Yeah.
Part of, so much of prayer, and in people's credit, Jesus did say, ask for what you want, and you will receive it, right? Knock and you'll receive. So people do that, but they forget to listen and to kind of quiet the mind. So that's when I'm doing marriage prep. That's one of the things that I always say to the couples.
Yeah.
I was meeting a couple yesterday, and we were talking about this, is that to try to train oneself to listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's easier in the first year or two. I think it's after 25 years of marriage, that's when it becomes harder because we already know what they're going to say.
Yeah.
And so, but I say that to echo your point. That's very true.
Yeah.
Now, part of etiquette here, is it okay if I put this in my coffee?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
I didn't know if you'd be offended by
Yeah.
that or not, so I just wanted to, like...
Now,
Yeah.
I've seen people put, is it butter on their tea? or coffee?
In their tea?
And their
I
teeth?
think I've seen people
I haven't
put.
seen that.
I think Father Dennis used to put butter in his coffee.
Uh-huh.
I think so. Hey,
We
correct
got
me if I'm
words,
right.
Father
No,
Dennis.
and he would tell me, Sylvia, if you ever want to lose weight,
Butter?
Put butter in your
and
tea?
so he
Honey?
would. What's the thing where you don't eat till noon again? Fast.
Fast.
And then he would have black coffee and he would put butter. And I was like,
Wow.
that cannot help you lose weight.
I mean,
But he would lose weight.
yeah.
He would lose weight, but I'd never tried it because I don't like
Interesting.
coffee. But he would do.
Okay.
And he invited the staff over to the rectory, and he was putting butter in his coffee. I mean, everything's
Wow.
better with butter, but I don't know about coffee.
Interesting.
no.
No, I didn't try it.
I think I told you guys about that. The religious sisters, the Carmelite sisters I used to know, and they would pour hot coffee on their cereal and eat it that way. And to me, I could never do that. I just could never do that. That was a little weird for me. But they,
I mean, maybe if it's like chocolate cereal.
yeah, I can't do
But
that.
no, but it's
I mean,
water.
No, then I'll just eat dry cereal and take a
Yeah,
sip of
no,
I couldn't
yeah,
mix it.
can't do
Yeah,
that.
no.
I feel like, and
That'll wake you up.
I'm not a picky
Yeah.
eater, but yeah.
But-
Well, and we were kind of talking about
Sorry.
dialogue and the importance of dialogue.
Going back
Right?
to that.
Let's
Yeah.
talk
I
about
did
not
have some
putting
points.
coffee.
Yes.
I did have a point on that too.
Yes.
After I asked about that.
Okay.
Was you were saying that about Americans, like we could learn a lot from that, that tea. And that is because we busy our schedule so much that we don't have our culture does not have a natural pause in the day. Like Italians or Spanish or you have this siesta kind of time where it's just like everything gets put away. We're all going to come together, particularly a lot of times as family or friends and just, and so, we don't have those
Yeah.
communal times naturally built into our schedules anymore. It's just, if you look at the American day, it is just go, 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 go from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And there's hardly even any time in there to even have dinner together, much less another pause in the afternoon for a tea, which that was something that I know when I was a stay-at-home mom. And I thought, well, I have these times. I need to build that in. I need to reach out to other friends who I know are other stay-at-home moms, and let's get together and try to build that into our days, But if nobody does that, it doesn't happen.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so it's really, that's one thing I don't like about our culture. We just don't know how to pause and rest and commune.
Well, and that's so true. And I think that's, I would add to that, priests are very guilty of that. I mean, I love my brother priests, and I put myself at the front of the line because when one develops a lifestyle where you're just hustling, going all the time, you can't relax the mind. And what happens is, even when you do have those times, you still can't relax the mind.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, what's going on? I mean, I know it took me years as a pastor. I could be gone and not be thinking of the parish, who's like in the church, who's in the hospital, kind of thing. And I'm sure it's 100-fold when you have children.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of that Hispanic culture, so we do have our time for, I mean, I don't, but like el cafecito, especially like Cubans have, it's time for el cafecito, el coffee. So I think like you're right. Hispanics are more prone to, okay, you went to work, but it's time for stop. Let's see what the day was and come. So I have a little bit of both. So I do tend to do a lot, and then even when you rest at night, your mind is still going. But I do stop myself, and I guess that's where the culture kind of thing comes in. And I'm like, oh no, I need to have a day because we haven't seen each other. Let's do da. So
and you begin to sense it. It's time to reconnect. That's one of the things that people have asked. I'm sure they have to you guys the last couple weeks about our new Pope. And one of the things that I really appreciate about him, from what I can tell, is there's there is really a sense of dialogue,
Yeah.
and then also of clarity. And so people have asked, okay, like what can we expect? Because as soon as the honeymoon period is over, okay, people begin to say, okay, chop, let's go. What's the game plan here, right? And what's the vision, so to speak? I mean, of course, none of us can read the tea leaves, right? So one of the things that's been happening over the past couple weeks is people have been going back and reading some of his past writings, some of his talks. Recently, this past week, one Catholic writer I read went to Villanova and got a copy of his doctoral dissertation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's nice.
And read it.
Yeah.
And it was on the role of the prior or the superior in the Augustinian order, and basically, more or less, it talks about the importance of ministry and the importance of healthy administration. And we've kind of
Nice.
talked about this before,
Yeah.
is that when one is a spiritual leader, at least in Catholicism, you have to wear both hats. You have to be not only a good administrator, because these are the people's goods, and it's not our money, for instance. It's the people's money, and also a spiritual leader. So I think they've basically been trying to assess where does Pope Leo stand on some of these issues, but I think one of the things that we can tell thus far is that there is the dialogue, but I think my gut, I'm certainly not an authority on anything, but in what I have read from what he has said and his talks and such, my gut tells me he's going to be a very good bridge between his two predecessors,
Oh, yes.
Benedict and Francis. And I think, as we were talking about on a recent podcast, I think while Pope Francis had many good qualities, I think one of the things that both his critics and his supporters would agree on is there was confusion. And so I think one of the things that's coming out of the gate here is he has already emphasized the importance of clarity. And here's the truth, right? Clarity is charity. Clarity is charity. And one of the biggest, from when one is a leader in the Catholic Church, clarity is charity. So what does that mean? It means that when one is teaching, and that's what the word magister, teacher, means, you're a teacher, and the Vatican II pointed this out from the role of bishops, is that you're a teacher, and the modus docendi. We have to understand, I think we as Catholics, that there can be two primary ways that a Catholic leader can lead his people into confusion. By teaching the wrong thing, keeping in mind that most of the 70 major heresies of the Church have been started by a priest or bishop, or by not doing anything. I mean, that's a bigger problem, actually, is
I think
not
so.
More than a few bishops in our own time just won't speak, and they just won't touch these issues that people want clarity on. They just won't touch about. And the 5th century, I mean, St. Augustine had no mercy for these people, no mercy for these bishops. In fact, and this is Augustine's words, not Father Ben's, he referred to these bishops as, quote, dumb dogs that won't bark.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So he said, you have the responsibility to be a shepherd, and you won't speak. And that what happens then is you have a vacuum that is it's going to be filled with something. So an analogy would be, for instance, at our church, I sometimes tell our people, look, I'm going to give you the hard truth. Your children are going to learn about human sexuality. And they're going to learn about it from the internet or from you. There's nothing in between. So you decide. And so it's analogous, because a lot of parents just will not have that discussion. They're not going to touch it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right? And in the same way, from the standpoint of being a bishop, when someone does not speak, people are going to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
And so that is a bigger problem. So long-winded way of saying, I think what we're going to see is, and his own brother said this as well. So he said that Pope Leo thinks with the church.
Yeah.
And so one of the challenges is, as we alluded to before, is like if you support, for instance, the poor and the downcast, you can labeled as a liberal. If you support the sanctity of life and marriage, you're labeled as a conservative.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we believe, and he has noted, it is a nothing to do with either liberal or conservative. It has to do with one simple principle, truth. What is the truth? What does Catholicism, the Bible, Jesus Christ tell us?
Right.
And I think that's what we'll see.
Yeah.
I was very happy. Very, very happy. I'm going to be completely honest. I did not think he was going to be picked. And I was like,
I didn't even know who he was.
way. I was like, I've seen his name. But when they said, I remember they said Robert, or did they say
Yeah.
Robert or Roberto?
Roberto.
I was like, hold on, he's not in my list. Okay,
Yeah.
who is it? And I didn't know who he was. And then, because we were all watching live as this was
Yeah.
happening, that said it's the American. And then I went over to like all
Like,
my
wait,
stuff,
what?
and I was like, and then no joke, when he came out and I saw his face,
Yeah.
I wept.
Yeah.
Like I felt the Holy
yeah.
Spirit in that moment.
And he got very emotional.
And he got
did.
really emotional.
Yeah.
And then I wept because I saw his eyes. And I was like, I feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't like he's going to be great because he's American, or he's going to be great because he's traditional. He's going to be great because he's liberal. It was like I felt in that moment like he was ready, but he also knew the responsibility. I could see that in his eyes.
Yeah.
And he was okay. And
Yeah.
it's just, I was like, we're going to be fine. It's
Yeah.
going to be good.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, though.
Yeah, my husband kind of makes fun of me with my reactions sometimes. Because he comes out and I'm like, who is this? I don't know who this is. And then I'm like, oh, he's so cute though. Like he's just so like sweet looking and just like and humble. I mean, but it was the humility and then the tears, and you just don't see that. And it's maybe because now we have technology where they like can zoom in, you know, and we can see the
Yeah.
tears. But before it was just like, there's something about this man that is just authentic and peaceful and calming and humble, and he just kind of like slid right on it, and you're just like, yeah, he's our Pope.
Yeah.
And the things that I've read about him, I've just loved. But yeah, I mean, I say that because like when we met Pope Benedict and we shook his hand, my response was, he has soft hands. Like,
I do have to agree
he
with
has
Derek
really
just a little
soft
bit.
hands. And Derek's
yeah.
like, that's all you got to say. He just shook hands with the Pope. And I'm like, yeah, it's soft hands. But like,
And that was your honeymoon, right?
that was our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I mean, I did. That was the initial. Then I had more to say about him in that moment. But I do. My reactions, my responses are kind of funny
Yeah,
and
yeah.
different. But you feel that though when you see somebody who's just
Yeah.
genuinely like, you know, you can start to entrust yourself to them. You know, you just sense that. And I started to sense that with him, which was, he gave off a lot of, felt like JP2 again. And there have been some times
No joke.
where I'm like,
I thought the same thing.
I
Is
see
there
him
a
on the Pope
moment- I
mobile and I'm
know.
like, whoa, JP2's back.
Yeah.
What? It is kind of odd, but what also intrigues me about him, he's just lives more of a quiet life, it seems like. You know, I mean, yes, there are talks that he's given, there are things that he's written, he's been a bishop, he's been, you know, he oversaw the Augustinian order, you know, all of those things, but for the most part, he's just been pretty quiet,
Doesn't
which
that
does
go
make
ahead.
you think like, okay, he's observing, he's living, he's doing the things with not for show or for attention, And now he's taking it all, and he's going to bring it to the forefront.
I couldn't
you know?
help
Yeah,
but
good
to
point.
think of those exact same things, and it brought me back to where we talked about at the podcast. I think it was our last episode when we're like, it should always be the guy that never wants it.
Yeah.
Or it should never be the guy that's been doing all of this because
Yeah.
he wants it.
Yeah.
And that's the first
It's
thing
an
that came
outlier.
to my
Yeah, it's
mind.
an outlier. I mean, that's why we talked about the guys that were on the PAPEM list
Yeah.
that everybody was talking about. They're actually happy to see their names on that list because it means they're not going to get elected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the ones that are the outliers are usually like Bergoglio
Yeah.
or Robert Prevost. I mean, and everybody was like, wait, who?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it was with Kara Wojtyła. Ratzinger was a little different because
Yeah.
they were not surprised when he was elected.
Right.
elected. No, I mean, you bring up a great point too, Kara. I mean, I think one of the things that gives Leo the 14th serious street creds
I
from
love
the
it.
from the point of view of a parish priest
Yeah.
is that he was a parish priest
He
and a
was.
pastor for many years.
Talked about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really beautiful because like he was, and he really did like a lot of, I mean, amazing, like just rolling up his sleeves doing
Yes.
some difficult work in very low income neighborhoods,
Yeah.
and even as a bishop, and I would add to that. I mean, I think it's important. Make no mistake, he is eminently qualified,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Yes.
as much as a man can be for this position, in the sense of the requisite language skills. I mean, being fluent in
Oh my gosh.
7 languages,
know.
and
No,
I
he
mean,
started
his-
talking, and I was like, he's not American. Why are we calling him American? But
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he did speak at one
And
point
he
in
was
time in
from
English.
Chicago.
And I'm like, hey, he's
yeah,
American.
right,
you know, but
right.
like,
Yeah, it's really
it's
funny.
incredible.
And he's I mean, it's really amazing. I think it's sometimes hard for many around the world to understand that the church is, as St. Paul said, the body of Christ.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's also the world's smallest country, Vatican City State. And so, from a bureaucratic standpoint, you're dealing with human personalities,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like any bureaucracy. Okay, and I think most people that work at the Vatican are, from what I can tell, what I've read, what people have told me, are sincerely good people, right? And however, there are people that are trying to get ahead, but I mention that because he was the head of the dicastery of bishops for almost 2 years before becoming pope. It's a big deal,
Yeah.
because he knows all these guys,
Yeah.
and that's really helpful when one assumes that position, because frankly, you know who you can trust
Yeah.
and the ones you can't. I mean, anybody that's ever
That's
been a
good.
leader, that in any bureaucracy, any business, any institution, whatever you want to call it, you're trying to immediately assess who can I trust, especially with sensitive things, and who can I not,
Yeah.
and who's jockeying for power, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We saw that sadly under Benedict XVI when the butler stole things and then posted it on VatiLeaks, and then they arrested that guy. So trying to figure out who one can trust and
Yeah.
who can't. So the fact that he had that position before this, that's going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also saying for him, because I know when Weigel, when I spoke with Weigel, and he even wrote about this too, was that the Vatican, there's financial issues that this upcoming pope is going to have to be dealing with, so you've got the financial issues, you've got, maybe some confusion, you've got, just all these different things. And I thought, wow, this man has a degree in mathematics, canon law, was a missionary in Peru, is an Augustinian, and he's all these different things here. Usually, typically speaking, you have a mathematician and then another person who's more missionary. Like,
Yeah.
rarely do those two
Yeah, indeed.
are embodied in like one person.
I agree.
But all these different things that I feel like the church needs, even on that administrative, like fundamental administrative financial level, like he can even help in that too. I was like, wow, okay, Holy Spirit, like that was just the fact that he embodies all of that and the multiple languages. I'm like, who are you? Why have we not known about you? But I mean, but the Lord was like,
If we go back to those 2 podcasts where we had Weigel and we were talking about Pope Francis, and we actually go back and listen to all the stuff that we hoped to get in a bishop and in a pope.
Yeah.
We talked about the financial, we talked about a bridge, we
Yeah, that's
talked
right.
about a lot of things. And I feel
right.
that we today have touched on all the things that we talked about that we hoped, and Pope Leo has that.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, good job, Holy Spirit.
He might actually know what he's doing.
I think so.
Right? Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
good.
Well, and that is so very true. I mean, it's so true. What do you guys? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What do you hope for to that point from our new pope? I mean, like, what is something that you're hoping that he puts in his sights?
First or second?
So one of the things that I heard, I heard explain why he chose Leo the 14th. And one of the things was Leo the 13th was coming out at the Industrial Revolution, you know, and the Industrial Revolution, the havoc that it wreaked on humanity, on the dignity of the human person, on the family, and all of that. And then, of course, he wrote Rerum Novarum, kind of talking about particularly taking care of working conditions and what's proper for the dignity of the human person. So when Leo the 14th now comes, he's like, I'm not dealing with the Industrial Revolution, but we're dealing with the technological revolution.
Yep.
And so how do we, now that we kind of see kind of the horrible things that it can do, but the good things that it can do, now what can we do to, because it's here, whether we like it or not, it's not like you can go back anymore.
Right.
So now how do we bring truth into all of this? And I love that because I would like clarity, but I also want a shepherd who, in a way, doesn't bring truth with just, you know, without charity. But I think he's able to bring that truth and charity and remind us of God's overwhelming love for us, but still be able to say the right things and to do the right things. And I just want to be able to you know, to just, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, I just want to hear more about that, the dignity of the human person, because it's kind of this whole technological revolution is leading to more and more and more isolation. And I think somebody like from an order is able to kind of help us kind of reconnect to the communal life, to life and dialogue with God, and beautiful ways, and how to live in a manner where we can balance all of this. I think he's going to be a great pope for our children. You know, they could relate to that, you know, and hopefully relate to a lot of the things that he will say about that, and how to, from your life going forward, how to live in this technological stage, but also be a person of great and deep faith who knows of God's love.
Love it.
I couldn't agree more. And to echo that, I think I'm a very like sentimental, emotional person. Like, so in kind of echoing what you're saying, to me, because of the confusion we had and the lack of clarity, maybe, despite all the awesome, also we had great things too. The healing of the Catholic that was confused and maybe walked away. So having someone that can kind of heal the heart and kind of say, this is what we were talking about. And just having,
Yeah.
throwing that net out and, bringing them back or healing their hearts. And just, like, come back home, a good shepherd, someone that can, like I said, I saw his face and I felt comfort. I am a very emotional person, but there's people out there the same way, that their heart can be broken and they can walk away sometimes just because they were hurt. So just, I guess, in all of that Khira said, but also that someone that can bring that brother home that was maybe hurt by the confusion or the lack of clarity. And what I love about, he is on the younger side, so he does understand, like you said, all the technology and all the the youth, and it's a different world. I think every 10 or 20 years, the world really changes. So it was awesome to see that my kids' Pope in their youth is going to be someone that understands them a little bit more. So, and he's got like the brothers that, talk, and they're on TV and they're like social media. And it's so nice to see that, because I don't think the popes of my youth had that, like the young families and or the nephews and the nieces. So having someone that you can, I guess, relate to also age-wise and that understands you more, I like that for my children.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
I think that's fun too. So
That's, amen. Wow, those are great points you guys note. I mean, you may know that, so Vatican II, 1962 to 1965, it published 16 documents. The shortest one of the 16 was on the media. It's called Inter Mirifica, and it's very, very brief. In fact, they weren't even going to put it in. It's so brief. But one of the things it says is it notes that we need to use media in the right way. We're using it now. And so it's, as you mentioned, Khira, we're not going to go back in time. We're going to use it in the right way. I mean, like you mentioned, to have some calm will be nice. Bishop Barron said he's hoping for a calm pontificate, right? And I think that's I would echo that point. Calm is good. Calm is good. But there's a phrase they sometimes use in philosophy. It's called the ontology of technology. The ontology. Basically, what that means is the technology of being is what it would translate it to. Like basically how technology, if it's not used well, can distort, as you mentioned, Khira, the how we understand ourselves. Right, we can isolate ourselves, and so he's spot on in saying, okay, we're not going to go back in time. In fact, we're going to use this in a way. The best way to bring people to a healthy understanding is not to be finger wagging, stand on a soapbox, because all they're going to do is tune you out. Say this man lives in an ivory tower, but to show him. Show, okay, that's cool. Well, show me a better way to use this, right? And as you said, for your children too, Sylvia. I mean, I would say for myself, selfishly, what I'm hoping for him, from him. Poor guy's only 1.4 billion people asking the same question of him. But I think, selfishly, I think that one of the things that would be eminently helpful for clergy around the world, keeping in mind we have circa 38,000 Catholic priests working in the United States at this point, just the United States. Wow. I think what would be very helpful is for the church as a whole to develop more the theology of administration.
I agree with that.
Because at this point, here's the hard truth. At this point, in case people are not aware of it, you may have a guy that is ordained 2 years. And after 2 years, he's given 3 parishes. He may not even be 30. And all of a sudden, he's the CEO of each one of these little parishes. Oh, and by the way, you're also doing plumbing, fundraising, and everything else. Know nothing about HR, and maybe I barely speak English. And so what happens is these guys are thrust into these situations to figure it out. Oh, and if anything goes wrong, it's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
tough.
what happened, it's unless the guy's not grounded well, he can easily fall into addictions, isolation, depression, being stressed, being short, quippy with people. And somewhere in there, I need to come up with a sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, or a homily. And so I've said for years that one of my mentors, he said that pastors in particular need to understand administration as a ministry. So for a lot of pastors, they understand my ministry, which I love, and my administration, which I detest.
Yeah.
But they're both ministry.
Exactly.
We just have to understand administration as a ministry. And the church, at least in my mind, has yet to develop that spirituality.
Right.
We have the pastor's spirituality. We do not have the administrative spirituality, right? Because I have to just tolerate this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I agree.
So this might seem a little off topic, but follow me, hear me out. This is for all you parents out there and pastors too. So I've been telling Father Ben about like the past 2 weeks. It's been like one thing after the next, after the next, after the next, after the next of things breaking and giving out.
I'm
and,
right there with you.
You know, then you got like graduations
you are
and you got
too.
proms, and we offered it up for the Pope.
Yeah.
Last week we did, or the week before last,
It
whenever
really
that was.
has
See, I don't
been
even know.
Maybe it
everything
was 2
in their
weeks.
household. I mean, like
It's just, like,
everything.
it's bad.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
it's just like, okay, Lord,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you remember when we wanted to grow up?
I don't know why we did that. Why? Adulting is stupid. So anyway, so we have these sinkholes in our front yard. Okay, it's deal with drainage and erosion issues. Okay, so we've got these sinkholes. Well, one day I'm telling Father Ben last week about all of this, and he's like, oh my God. And then he said, maybe you should name them. Name the sinkholes. And I'm like thinking, is there a patron saint of sinkholes? And
Yeah.
so I was sitting out on the front porch the other day where the sinkholes are out there too. I was like, I'm going to name them after the Leos. And the biggest one is going to be Leo the Great. So that one's Leo the
I was
Great.
like, where's she going with
So
this?
I was like, follow me. So I'm here to comfort all those families out there. Like, if you feel like things are crumbling down, I'm right there with you, praying for you. But no, so the sinkholes, I've named them the Leos.
Nice.
But now I started to think about it, though, and it's just like the sinkholes, at least these sinkholes, happened due to something happening under the ground that we had no clue was going on. There's all this erosion, all these things creeping into the culture, creeping into all of that. And you start to notice something's happening because the ground starts dropping. But then April 2nd or 3rd of this year, which was, the tornadoes where we had Weigel here. I mean, again, seriously, I don't know if I'm just bad luck or what, but God he has to do a lot to make me holy. But we had this big river kind of go across our front yard. And when that river came through.
It was a big river.
Yes. It just sunk. All of that just sunk down, and this massive, massive hole is now apparent. And I'm kind of thinking about that with the Leos and all the different Leos, the Pope Leos, and even Leo the 14th now is like, if you take the 13th, you had the Industrial Revolution, and things are breaking down. Families are breaking down. Humanity is breaking down. And then you have this wave of something come over where you just realize this is bad. We're in a horrible state. And the Leo comes in and fills that vacuum, tries to fill in that void like we were talking about, because you can't just build a bridge over it or patch it up.
You got to get
these guys are in there to fill it, and that's going to take a lot of work and maybe a lot of money. I know what that's like too. But, and same with Leo the 14th. It's just, okay, these different things are creeping in, and now we see this is a massive vacuum that needs to be filled, a big sinkhole that needs to be fixed.
I didn't
so
think you were gonna get there.
Brought it back.
I'm so proud. And I'm like, look, and it was beautiful
it was
too.
Long, it was roundabout way.
I was like, where is she going?
Yeah, no,
good job.
But yeah, thanks.
No,
so that's
in
the
with the
Leos.
good, out with the Sylvia. I
I was like, goodness, where are we going?
I know. I was
like,
bear with me a little bit. Bear with me.
I hear you. No, so this is, and that's a great point.
Analogy, yeah.
Because in Jesus, he kind of makes a similar point, right? Everyone that listens to my word and acts on them will be a wise man who built his house on rock.
Yes.
Right? Not
Developers
sand.
Of
so,
miles.
And those of you that may not know, Leo the Great had to deal with Attila the Hun, who's trying to seize control of Rome. So maybe what we should do is your children should dig a small hole next to Leo the Great and call it Attila. Right?
Yeah.
She's like,
I'll call our groundhog that we had that was building, that was digging.
There you go.
There's a little hole next to Leo the Great, actually, that was the groundhog that did some damage too. So that groundhog is now named Attila the Hun.
You know
and
that
he has disappeared.
Okay.
So Leo
does
took
your
him
son
out.
does your husband have a BB gun?
We did. Oh, you should have
Father
seen us.
Ben.
We were on the front porch shooting our BB gun at this thing. I mean, I was the one actually on the front porch, like, yes, you're going down, buddy.
Yeah. That's good.
My dad was like,
That's
you need
good.
a
We're
rifle,
getting this
Khira.
out. This is healthy.
Yeah.
This is healthy.
Before we go, I do have to speak to the regular person in the pew. I'm going to put you on the spot for a little bit, but it's good. Be patient with your pastors. They're going to be thinking all week, our Pope Leo the 14th. Our Pope Leo the 14th. But then here comes Sunday, and they're going to say Pope Francis.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to take a while, people, okay?
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. Give them some time. And they're going to say, oops, it's okay. It's going to take us all the while.
You can do what Father Ben did this weekend and just say, we pray for Frio, our Pope. It wasn't Francis. It wasn't Leo. It was Frio. And
He's cold.
And I was like, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
But again, going to the sinkhole thing, I mean, even administration, it's all these different things. Just
be patient.
And the poor, you know, we talk about the poor and marginalized. The poor are not necessarily those but like our own teenagers, our own people, you know, because
I'm excited. I'm very hopeful. And I feel I'm calm.
Yeah.
I am too.
You know?
Yeah.
That's nice.
So like,
that's nice. We're gonna keep praying for Frio, because he needs our prayers. Listen, do not forget to put soul in your food and give food to your soul. God bless you.
That was wonderful.